Hello and welcome to episode 154 of the Mark and Me podcast. As always, I'm your host Mark. Now joining me on today's episode are two guests. You've got the incredible actress Charlotte Kirk and the amazing return of one of my favourite film directors in the business, the one and only Neil Marshall. They're both here to talk about their latest film, The Reckoning, and I can't wait to delve deep and start talking all about horror and all the stuff that you'd expect from someone like Neil Marshall. And as this is the first time of Charlotte coming on the podcast, I can't wait to talk to her too. But that interview's coming up in just a few moments' time. You know the score by now. I always like to touch base and talk about my previous guest. And on the last episode, it was a return from one of my favourite guests of since I've started podcasting, the amazing Joey Kramer. He came on and talked all about the documentary Life After the Navigator. He talked a lot about depression, how to get out of being in a mindset that can be so negative, and offered some incredible guidance and support for people that are listening. I've had so many emails and so many comments come in since I put this episode out, and so many people have really been grateful for the support that Joey and the honesty that he gave on the podcast. So a huge thank you for everyone that's listened and tuned into that episode. But as I said, today's a whole new episode, and this time we've got two guests, the actress Charlotte Kirk and the amazing director Neil Marshall. I think the best thing to do right now is to get straight to that interview. So here's me, Neil and Charlotte talking all about The Reckoning. So Neil and Charlotte, thanks for taking the time to join me on the Mark and Me podcast.
Well, it's good to be back.
Yes, and
good to be here.
Yes, thank you, Charlotte, for obviously taking the time to now be the first time, and hopefully it won't be the last, and we'll get you back on as well. What I want to do is, obviously, I've spoken to Neil previously, and we talked all about The Descent and Dog Soldiers and horror and all the stuff that kind of got you to where you are now. But for the listeners out there today that are wanting to find out more about Charlotte as well, Charlotte, can you talk to me a little bit about how you fell in love with acting and how film became part of your world?
You know what? I can't remember when it wasn't part of my world. Growing up, I hated school, hated academic, hated all the classes, maths, English and everything else. And the only class that I absolutely loved was drama class. And I totally just loved it. I think I was good at it. I wasn't good at anything else, not academic at all. And I just fell in love with it. And, I was told my parents that I wanted to, at the weekends, I wanted to do drama school. So I was staying behind in school, doing extra classes for drama and singing and acting. And then at weekends, I went to two drama schools, Jigsaw and Italia Conti. And then after I finished school, I went to the Miskin Theatre. And then after that, I knew at a young age, someone told me, Charlotte, if you want to do acting, go to the US. You've got to go to the US. It's like, okay. So it was almost like I was just on this very focused, train, and I knew what I wanted to do, and nothing was going to get in my way. And, it was tough. And, I didn't know what, how to go about it really. So, I could have potentially stayed in the UK because just a few people told me that if film is something you wanted to do, go to the US. I think they were wrong because there was a lot of shooting in the UK as well, but it kind of made sense to me, that's what I did.
What was your family like as a support network? Because obviously, for any parent that child's turn around and says to them, I want to be a rock star, I want to be an actor, I want to be famous, yeah. It's not always the most reliable. And, were they supportive? Were they behind you the whole way? Or were they kind of like, well, can you get a proper job first and then hope that acting pays off? Or were they really fully behind you from the start?
Well, if I'm going to be brutally honest, my dad worked for an electrician company. And my brother and sister both worked for him. And he said, you're not working for me, Charlotte. So I was like,
wow.
Hey, well, that's the way you want it. And no, they were totally supportive. I mean, I did some jobs before that to earn pocket money. I did worked in a pharmacy, and I did some marketing stuff and did some modelling in London because I thought that might be another way through the door and into acting. And then my mum was like, desperately wanted me to come back to the UK, and was like, yes, just go there, get out your system, and then come back. And then I've been there 8 years now. So, and
I know where it comes from though, because your dad's a total ham. That's what it is.
Yes, yes, absolutely. And deep down, I think I totally get it from my dad.
That's amazing.
And he was in The Reckoning, by the way. He there's a shot of him painting the Red Cross on the door. That is my dad.
That's
and my
amazing.
mum is in there too.
You're getting them all in.
It's a family affair. They do like a little cameo here and there.
And you guys will get this question a lot, but can you remember the first time that you guys met and you kind of sat down and you started to talk about films and writing and horrors and acting and directing and everything? When was the first time you guys actually met?
Well, it's two separate things. So
we were already talking about movies before we met. So
we met, we fell in love. We're a couple. We're together, and then The Reckoning was something else.
Yeah.
So someone come to us, what was it, like a year or two in our relationship, and they said, "Look, we have this idea.
Yeah,
we really want to do it."
It was about sort of a year.
Yeah.
Later, wasn't it? In late. I don't remember the dates, but we've been gassing on about films since day one,
Yeah.
And our passions for drama and acting and directing and movies and such like. So it felt like it's just a logical kind of next step of just collaborating. She's got some really wacky ideas, so it's a different way to thinking because she doesn't come from so much of a horror background.
Yeah.
So it was bringing a very different insight into some of the story ideas we were knocking around, and it just seems that it's worked. We've done 3 scripts together now, so
yeah,
it just works.
So it's like you're coming at it from the director's point of view. I'm coming at it from the actor's point of view. And when I was helping you write The Reckoning, I wasn't thinking horror, jump scares, this, that. I was just thinking of the story and the characters and try to do the best story possible. And then Neil was obviously brought the horror to it and everything else.
That said, she's been fully converted now because
yes,
it was somebody asked her the other day what your top 5 movies, and she immediately just listed off Alien, The Thing, The Shining. I was like, yep, okay,
yep.
We horror convertee there.
Your work is done.
To the dark.
And I mean, there's stuff that can test a relationship, and sometimes it might be something as simple as buying a puppy or, getting married or getting your first house. But to work together, to write together, and then direct and star in a film, there must be points that really kind of tests a relationship. And maybe you flew through it, and do you know what? If you can get through making a film together, then you're set for life. It's that sort of thing. But at the same time, what was it like kind of stepping from being in a relationship to then going into these professional roles and kind of switching into those modes of, well, actually, I'm a director now, you're the actress, and we need to do this?
I think when we stepped into those roles, we did very conscious about not being the couple on set.
Yeah.
I would direct the film, she was there to star in it, and and it was totally professional. So creatively there was never any kind of an issue. I mean, behind the scenes we were battling over finances and stuff like that for the movie, but not with each other, but with other people.
It was a tough shoot. So if you can get through that, the creative side wasn't tough. There was no conflict or nothing in that respect. I mean, tough meaning it was physically and mentally tough, but the toughest was the struggle of the production side. That was the toughest. And I thought, we get through that.
Because not only were we like writers on the project, then director and actor, but we were also kind of becoming producers on the project almost by circumstances. So by necessity, yeah. So it was an all-consuming thing, but it never affected our relationship at all.
Not under pressure.
Maybe it was like we united against adversity.
And how does it feel now it's actually done? Because obviously with COVID and everything, I remember hopefully seeing the film at, was it Horror Fest or one of the conventions were going to list it, and I saw that it'd been delayed because of obviously the COVID stuff. And is it such a relief now to know that we're only a couple of weeks away from everyone being able to finally see it?
It is. It's the only slight frustration was that it was going to be released day and date with the States, which was the 5th of February. And Shudder and Vertigo pushed it back to April in the hope that cinemas would be open by now. And sadly, that's not happened. And there's no way to keep on pushing it back. So, it was going to get a theatrical release. And I think it's a shame only because it really deserves that, because it is it's a beautiful, epic, widescreen movie with incredible sound and music and such like. I think it would play amazingly in theaters, in cinemas. So that's a shame, but it's good to be getting it out there. It's kind of strange for us now, just almost to be revisiting it now, having done all this a couple of months ago. But it's great that the UK are going to get to see it now.
And it played well in the US and cinema,
Yeah.
so at least it got a theatrical test. That was really good, and it played really well, and people liked it. So
I was going to say the reviews
Main
I've
thing.
been reading on IMDb, which I try and not do because it's just a lot of trolls, but there's a lot of great reviews and people are all saying that, what you'd expect. This is a return to form for Neil. This is what he's meant to do. This is for your sort of audience. And it's great that people are really respecting that, after Hellboy, you've come back and done something that is a lot more, I don't know, what's the word? I suppose you're more comfortable with and in your kind of zone you're not having a big studio interfering and constantly changing stuff for you.
Yeah, it's certainly a lot more personal, a lot more creative for me, and the fact that I had, if on Hellboy I had zero creative control and plenty of money, on this one we had kind of no money, but all the creative control we could have wanted. I mean, there was 100% creative control. So,
but your hands weren't tied. That's
Yeah.
the thing with Hellboy. Your hands were tied. At least with this, you had your full. That's why you can tell. That's why it is what it is, because it's your work on the screen.
and for all the adversity in making it, it's just so much more of a rewarding experience and a positive experience. It's like, yeah, it was tough, but I'm so much more proud of it as a movie.
Yeah.
And hold it up and say, this is my work or our work. So.
And Charlotte, you just mentioned then that you guys had sat down and I think worked on 3 scripts. Is that correct? You were just saying?
Yes.
Are you going to delve a little bit deeper into this? Are we going to get an exclusive here? Are we going to get to a bit of a tease? Is there more stuff coming up from you guys in the near future?
Yes. So the 2 scripts, actually, we plan to shoot one in June and one hope at the end of the year or early next year. The next one is called The Lair.
Nice.
Full on action horror. So
Perfect.
The drama, horror, historic. This is
Thing, but Aliens.
Yeah, this is
Thing. That's how to sell it.
Yeah. I mean, it was kind of not an answer to if The Reckoning was a little bit more down the drama route and a little bit more esoteric and almost a little bit artistic by my own standards. This is just back to blood and guts and machine guns and mayhem and chaos. And
this sounds incredible already. That should just be on the poster. More guts, more blood.
Yeah,
practical
and
effects.
the next one is the next one after that is not a horror film at all. It's a gangster movie.
Wow.
So we're sitting there one day, and I said, there's not okay. So in the 80s, there was some of the best films, right? You had Scarface and all these incredible gangster movies. Like, where are the brilliant, epic gangster movies? And where a female gangster cartel woman.
Yeah.
And that's where it kind of came from.
And it was the basic idea of doing an updated female version of Scarface, but not a remake in any way at all. Just something that's that kind of outrageous and full on.
It sounds like you guys have got a very busy couple of years ahead of you.
I hope so. Yeah. I mean, I want to keep busy. I just want to go from movie to movie to movie and just keep working and keep making shit. Yeah.
After the last episode, a few people were tweeting me and Facebooking and sort of the Instagram DMs and stuff and saying, why didn't you ask Neil if we would get a Descent sequel? And I was like, are you an idiot? Did you not realize that there was a sequel, but it wasn't anything to do with Neil? But then people were saying, well, ask him about Dog Soldiers. Would we ever get a second Dog Soldiers?
That is the question I get asked most often. I think Dog Soldiers too. Well, I can't make any promises. All I can say is that the right people are talking to each other now in the hope that we might finally do a Dog Soldiers 2.
Amazing.
It's taken a while.
And aren't we getting finally a nice 4K Blu-ray set very shortly? I think I've seen some sort of teasers online.
Yes, there is. There is a 4K Blu-ray, 4K master has been done.
Yeah.
Dog Soldiers. And it's out in Germany. You can get it in Germany. They've done a beautiful Blu-ray edition.
Is it not already released?
It was released theatrically last
Yeah,
August,
but I think is it Second Sight have been teasing it. I think have been saying that they're going to be doing a special nice little box set and Blu-ray and.
Yeah, I've been working with these guys to produce something, see what's going to come out, but I don't know when it's happening.
Everyone is asking about it, and those guys are good. They've done Lake Mundo, and they've done Host and stuff like that, and the packaging and the box sets and all the features are great. They're up there with sort of Arrow films, so I'm looking forward and hoping they give the treatment to Dog Soldiers that it deserves. It's weird that it's not in my collection in the best available format.
Well, yeah. I mean, if they can get hold of some of the extras that were on the original Pathé DVD, like the commentary and stuff like that. I mean, that's classic stuff. Our drunken commentary was fun.
I asked this question to Neil last time he came on, and obviously Charlotte, I think it'd be nice for the audience out there that are listening today, but there's a lot of people that listen to the podcast that are filmmakers. They might be writing screenplays, they might be directing, or they might be just trying to get into film school. I asked Neil what advice he'd give to those people to try and get into the industry, but I think as an actress and a writer yourself, and obviously you started at, I think, the age of 11 or 12, what advice do you give to those people that look up to you and want to be like you and write and act and try and get themselves out there? I mean, you said everyone was telling you need to move to America, but that's not on everyone's agenda, and it's not as easy as that. So,
yeah. And you don't have to do that. And in hindsight, maybe I didn't have to do that either. I think that the best thing for you to do, for anyone to get into the business, if you're a writer, producer, actor, director, is make your own things if you can, right? Shoot, rent a camera and just write your own stuff if you can, or find someone who's in your shoes, who's starting out, so you could hire a writer and you could work together, network and meet people like yourself who's in this position, and you can all work together and figure it out. But that's what I've figured out, that you can't just sit around and wait for the phone to ring, because it's just especially now. And the thing is, there's so many things being made, and like with Netflix and Amazon, as you say, the beast needs feeding. There has to be more and more content out there. So I would say that it's more trickier in a way, because to get films out there and that, because there's more competition, there's more content. It's not like back in the day where there was one film coming out and everyone went to see it. Right now it's so much stuff's out there, but that gives people more opportunity because there is more things out there. So I would say just basically try and be proactive as possible, and not rely on anyone else, or just make it happen yourself. Meaning, don't wait for your agent, your manager. That's all great, but just do it yourself. And that's what we're doing now. We're doing things that that I want to act in. Like, this is the role that I would love to do, like my dream roles, and that you want to direct stuff that you love to direct. The things that you dream to direct. Make it yourself if you can.
Yeah, I want to blow shit up and
yeah, blow shit up and stuff. Yeah.
Play with toys and make lots of noise.
That's it. Yeah, napalm, guts, and money. Yeah, I think just graft. It's just hard graft. It's
and it never
no easy way.
And I would say it never gets easier. It never gets easier, because when you're here and then you reach a little higher, then you have other problems. Then you reach another higher. And my dad told me once, he said, I said, I've got to go to the US, Dad, and just get out of my system. It will never be out of your system. It's a drug. Once you have it, and that's it. And it's true. It's absolutely true. It will never be, you always want to do that next film, that next part. It's just that hunger, but that's great, because that's what drives us, I think.
Yeah, that's what it is. I mean, the hunger never goes away, but also it's not that you encounter, well, you do encounter problems. You're always going to encounter problems. That's the nature of the beast of steering your way through the problems, fixing problems, solving problems. That's part of what we do, is problem solving.
Mm-hmm.
But you raise your own bar all the time. If you set a bar and you reach it, then you're not just going to stay there or just like relax there. You're going to raise that bar again and go after that, and then you're going to raise it again. And you're going to keep chasing this thing till the day we all snuff it, because we'll just be working till we die.
It feels like my life. I'll just be editing and editing and editing until the day I die.
Yeah.
Well, if that's what you love, I mean, that's not a thing.
The thing is, like, why I see it, like, when you give up doing what you do, like, you're kind of dead. Like, okay, if people don't like their job and they retire, that's one thing, and they pick up a hobby that they love, that's great. But if you just completely do nothing, I don't know, you lose that thing that gets you up in the morning.
Yeah, that's what I live for. I literally get up and I look forward to my next conversation, and I edit. It's a hobby. You never make enough money off it to pay a mortgage, but as long as I've got my family and my friends and this, which is what I get out of, if I have to do a job to do all the normality and give me this time to do it, then it's not a bad balance. I don't think I'll ever put the microphone and headphones away for good. I think it's just, like you said, a drug. It's in me. So I got 130 episodes and I can do another 500,
It's amazing.
Right. So, yeah.
It's amazing. And you said 70,000 viewers last time. That's incredible.
Yeah, it's good. And, you know, there's still great names coming forward. I've had Anthony Hopkins, Mads Mikkelsen, Alex Winter, all these big people. And it's just one guy in his bedroom with a microphone. So it's like, I don't need this big studio and stuff like that.
No, exactly.
Fabulous.
Do it yourself.
Exactly.
That's how much I.
The last question I've got for you guys, obviously I'm conscious of time. The outro music to the episode, Neil will know about this, but you get to choose the piece of music that plays on the outro. So every episode on Spotify is slightly different because the actor, director, musician, band, or whoever it is who's been on gets to choose the piece of music.
Well, because this is to do with the reckoning, I don't think it can be anything too funky. Something emotional or meaningful.
Ooh, I don't like that.
No?
No, like, yeah, hunker, hunker, burning low or something like that.
I was going to say Enya, and Neil's like, no way. No, because if it's
This
the
is when you don't
theme
agree.
and the dramatic of the reckoning. It's not us. It's the reckoning, right? I mean, it is partly us, yes. But
Make it more about you. Have whatever song. What's the song that you love that means a lot to you?
When we were writing it, we were listening to some Kate Bush, this woman's work,
yes.
and Running Up That Hill.
What about like a theme track
That seemed appropriate at the time.
Scarlet Letter? I was listening to that. And
Oh, you like John Barry.
John Barry. Movie? Can you have movies?
You can have whatever. I interviewed the director from Sputnik yesterday. Have you seen that film, Sputnik? It's a sci-fi horror film that's on. It's really good. He's done it on hardly any budget, and it's brilliant. And it's got all the practical effects. It looks brilliant. And he chose Eric. I can't ever say his name. Enrico Morricone, The Thing soundtrack, the dum dum at the start, and I was
oh my god, the best ever.
That's a great one. And I thought, God, if someone asked me on a podcast, I'd
The
probably...
Shining. That's it.
Yeah,
that's it. The Shining, opening of The Shining. That's it.
So we were playing that on set when we were making the reckoning.
And
Perfect.
and what was the one we kept listening to?
I don't know. I had like a playlist of The Shining and stuff from 2001, and
yes,
just like scary music to play on set.
Yeah, and you did that for the first time, and you really liked it, didn't you?
Yeah, it was fun.
There's a lot of stuff sequences where there's
sound of it, but otherwise it was good.
But it didn't require dialogue, and kind of wanted to get into the space. So I was like, well, we put a bit of music on.
Yeah, I read there's the Cameron Crowe when he made Almost Famous and Jerry Maguire and stuff. Everywhere on set are hidden speakers, so whenever actors are literally having their makeup done or anything, he's putting the sort of music on that you'd expect from something like Almost Famous. Would be lots of sort of, I don't know, The Who and Simon and Garfunkel. So constantly people are in the zone. I thought, do you know, that's a great idea.
Really good.
Yeah, no, I know quite a few directors who've done it, who play music just to set the tone on set. But I had never done it before, but it worked well on the reckoning. It was good.
Awesome.
Yeah, it's really
right.
That'd be good. I'll drop you an email. But thanks again, Charlotte. Lovely to meet you. Thanks, and I hope the rest of today's press goes really well. And yeah, keep in touch, and let's do something again when we can sit down and be more relaxed and just take our time and really delve deep into it. All right, thanks, guys. Have a great rest of the day, and speak to you soon. Take care. So there's my interview with me, Charlotte, and Neil. So lovely to have them on the podcast, and a great welcome back for Neil. I really do hope they can come back on the podcast and talk about their brand new film, which we mentioned on today's episode, in the near future, because as we're speaking right now, they're filming this movie. If you've enjoyed hearing about The Reckoning, you can check this film out on Shudder. It's an exclusive on there at the moment, and I urge you all to go and check it out. It's a great subscription service, and each month they have brand new horror titles and a whole back cat of some absolute classics. It really is worth your money every single month. Also, if you've enjoyed today's episode and you want to support the Mark and Me podcast, you can do this for free. You can go on to markandme.com, and on there there's links to my Facebook, my Twitter and my Instagram. You can share this episode on your own networks between all your friends and followers, and it makes a massive difference to Mark and Me. It reaches a whole new audience that I wouldn't be able to reach without that, so it really does make a huge difference, and each and every week I see more of my listeners doing this, and it really is appreciated, so keep that up. And if you've really enjoyed today's episode and want to support me on the next level, I do have a Patreon page. On there you can sign up to some exclusive episodes, a pin badge as soon as you sign up, which is exclusive to Patrons, as well as a whole number of benefits from the guys at Last Exit to Nowhere, where I give t-shirts away. I also have prizes from Universal and some absolutely amazing posters and prints from the amazing Vice Press. Each and every week you'll see I'm giving away the best prizes that I can, and it's a way of me saying thank you for supporting me on Patreon. Every bit of invested money that goes in there goes exactly right back into the podcast. I don't make money off it, and it all helps me go out there and record more episodes and also host this podcast on all the networks that I can. It isn't cheap with the amount of bandwidth I've needed, and that's because I'm on places like Amazon, Podomatic, Spotify, iTunes, and I want to extend it even further. I want it to be available everywhere, and I can do that if you support me via Patreon. I'll be back in only a few days' time with another brand new episode. I think at the moment I've been releasing the best episodes that I've ever done. I've absolutely loved having Neil Blomkamp. Joey last week was one of my personal favourites. We've had the return today of Neil Marshall and some absolutely incredible stuff coming up in the very near future. So as always, look after yourself, stay safe, and I'll speak to you all in a few days' time.